Hey makeup friends, so I have a bit of a declutter today. It's not going to be as massive as some of the other declutters that I've posted. I will link my eyeshadow declutter up here because that is the most popular of the ones that I've done. But I do have 20 items that I'm going to be exiting from my collection for a variety of reasons, so let's just get straight into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you're new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. In terms of the makeup that I'm wearing today, on my eyes, I have shades from the Tartelette in Bloom palette, and on my lips, I'm wearing one of the Everlasting liquid lipsticks from KVD in the shade Echo. Okay, we've got 20 items here, so we've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to share with you the items that I'm decluttering and my reasons why. There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm going to go through these products, so let's just start. Up first, there are 3 different concealers that I'm going to be getting rid of. On the one hand, we have the Rimmel Multitasker. Then we have this one here from Lorac, which I don't even know what it's called. This is the Pro Soft Focus Longwear Concealer. And then we have the concealer from Juvia's Place. So all 3 of these are just underwhelming in my opinion. And I do have a very extensive concealer collection. It's just one of those products that I really do enjoy testing out new formulas and doing reviews on them. I just really enjoy concealer. It is like my holy grail product. If I was on a deserted island, concealer is the one that I would want to have with me. I can live without pretty much everything. I just want my concealer. So when they are underwhelming, I'm not reaching for them. I have so many others that I truly love that the ones that sink to the bottom just don't get used, and there's really no reason for me to keep them. So in this case, the Juvia's and the Rimmel just don't hold up very well over the day, and I have others that have much better longevity, so I just don't tend to reach for these ones. And with the Lorac, it just really oxidizes, and then I end up looking very sallow under the eyes. What shade is this? Shade is, I have it in the shade 5.5 Light, and it does have a very yellow undertone to it, as do I, except as the day goes on, it becomes more and more yellow, and then it just becomes like I look sickly, and so I just don't enjoy wearing that one. So for those reasons, all 3 of these are going to be leaving my collection. Now, the same complaint that I have with the Lorac Concealer, I also have with the Lorac Foundation. So again, this is the Pro Soft Focus Longwear Foundation, which I have in the shade 5 Light. And again, it just oxidizes so badly on me. And it's not something that I typically experience with a lot of foundations, so when it does happen, it's very alarming. And I don't appreciate it because I put my makeup on in the morning, and then when I see myself at like my first bathroom break at the office, I'm like, what happened? Because my foundation is like a shade and a half darker and a bit more yellow than it had been at the beginning of the day, and it just looks sickly. It just looks off. So I don't use this. There's no point in me keeping it. Love Lorac eyeshadows, not a fan of their base products. Let's tackle cheek products next. So I do have a highlighter, a blush duo, and a bronzer duo that I'm going to be getting rid of. All 3 of them are from Juvia's Place. The highlighter here is the Tribe Highlighter Volume 3. It's just your typical everyday champagne white gold kind of color. I have these a million times over, and there's nothing so special about this one that I reach for this one over and over again. Also, I feel some kind of way about Juvia's Place currently, so I think that's translating in my declutter. Likewise, the blush duo here, I just don't use it very often. This shade is too deep for me. This one's a little bit too light for me. I do have to sort of mix them in order to make them work. Again, I have an entire drawer with blushes in there. I don't need these ones, so I'm getting rid of them. Likewise, the bronzer duo. There's really nothing wrong with these powder products at all. It's just I have other contour powders, I have other bronzers, and this one just takes up more room than it's worth. It doesn't fit into the holder where I keep my bronzers, highlighters, and blushes, so I have to keep them in a separate drawer, and they're just taking up space because they're out of sight, they're out of mind. They don't bring anything so amazing to the table that I just keep reaching for them. And again, like I said, I feel some kind of way about Juvia's Place right now, and just I'm okay with letting them go. And then we have 3 different sample size mascaras here. So this one here is from MAC. It's the Magic Extension Mascara. It just doesn't do anything. It's a fiber mascara, and yet I still don't notice it lengthening or volumizing my lashes. It just kind of separates them and fans them apart, which is nice, but it doesn't do anything else than that. It also smells really weird, so I just don't enjoy the experience of using it at all. Then there's this one here from Fenty. This is the Full Frontal in Ivy League. I do like that it actually shows up green on my lashes, but this is just a very ho-hum mascara. There's nothing special about it. Again, sort of like the MAC, it kind of fans things out, and that's about all it manages to accomplish. It doesn't like really lift the curl of my lashes. It doesn't volumize them in any way. It does appear green, but from a distance, you really can't see that. It is very subtle on my very dark lashes, so it's just not bringing a whole lot to the table at this point, so I'm ready to let it go. And then there's this guy here from Too Faced. This is Better Than Sex, and let me tell you, I feel badly for Jared Blandino if this is better than the sex he's having, because it sure as hell isn't better than the sex that I'm having. It is not a fantastic mascara at all, which is not to knock Barry. That sounds like I'm setting the bar really low. The bar is pretty high. We're not going to get too far down this particular rabbit hole. Suffice it to say, this is a very disappointing mascara. The problem with it, while it does volumize my lashes and does help to lift that curl, it also gives up about halfway through the day, and I always have flaking with this. That is not an issue that I've encountered with very many mascaras. This one, it is a common and consistent offense. It just falls apart, and I don't know what it is, but I always end up with little black specks all over my cheeks, and it is not named well. If you're going to call something Better Than Sex, that's a bold claim. You better live up to it. That one doesn't. Moving on from there. I do have one primer here that I don't like it. This is from The Ordinary, and it's the High Spreadability Fluid Primer. It's so slippery. It's got that like silicone feel to it that it sets my teeth on edge. I just do not enjoy that experience at all. I don't find that it really helps with the application of my foundation over it, and overall I'm just like, ugh, every time I use it, so I'm not going to use it anymore because ugh is not how I want to feel first thing in the morning. Moving on from there. Another primer of sorts that I just never got along with is this one here from NYX. This is the Shadow and Liner Primer. Never heard of a liner primer before. I guess it kind of makes sense, but I don't know. I've never once had the idea of like, I need to prime my liner, whatever. Regardless, this is just a really terrible product. There it is. It is like slippery on the lids and nothing really builds up on it. It doesn't grab the pigmentation. I find that it actually causes the shadows that I apply on top of it to be even more patchy, especially in like the crease areas of my lids. I just really don't like it. I don't think it helps the shadows at all. In fact, I think it hinders them, and so I don't need to keep this because I'm never going to use it. I have 2 items here that I'm getting rid of simply because they are just so old. One of them is a liner from Melt. This is in the shade Molten. It's one of their liquid brush liner situation things. Do they even still sell these? I honestly don't know. There it is there. It's like in a nice dark brown. I liked it when I first got it, but I've had it for years. Like 2, maybe 3? That can't be healthy for the eyeballs, so I'm going to let this one go. Also, because it's so short, it gets lost in my container. Like, I keep all of my liquid liners in here, so when it's in there, I never see it because it like stops right over here. So that's part of the reason why I've had it for so long, is because I've just completely forgotten that I had it. But I also don't really like that kind of brush tip application, so there's a few reasons going on here, but suffice it to say, it has served its purpose and it's time to say goodbye to that one. I don't want some sort of ocular infection. And then another one that I've had for years at this point is from Buxom. This is one of their Plump Line Lip Liners. This one doesn't give me as much of the heebie-jeebies, but like, I don't know what in the hell is going on. Because I sharpen it and then I close it and then that's what happens. That's what happens, and I don't know why. I genuinely don't know, like, are they The lids are the same length, because on the other end there's like a little brush thing, and the lids are the same size, but this one just gets stupid in there for some reason. I don't know. I don't use it anyways, so there's no point keeping it. I used this product here from Sigma in a recent Get Ready With Me video, and in that video I said I didn't really like it, but I didn't expand as to why I don't like it. At any rate, this is the Tint and Tame Brow Gel in Dark. And the reason I don't like it is because it's just way too aggressive for what it is. It just, like, talk about crunchy eyebrows. It's, as my eyes move, like as I emote, I can feel the resistance on my eyebrows, and it's like sticky, and it's almost like shellac for the eyebrows. If you have like truly unruly eyebrows, you might love this because the hold is next level, but it's overkill for what I need, and I just don't like how aware of my eyebrows I become when I use this, so I just typically don't use it, so why am I keeping it? And then we are down to 5 eyeshadow palettes. So in the same Get Ready With Me video where I used that Sigma Brow Gel, I used this palette here from REM Beauty. This is in the shade Midnight Snack. It looks like a very pretty palette, however, it is very frustrating to work with. It was very lackluster. The matte shades do blend really nicely, but the shimmery shadows have no shimmer in them whatsoever. And the pigmentation in the mattes really isn't all that great. I really did have to build them up. They blend beautifully, but that's about all they do. And the completed look just using this palette was just very humdrum. And when I have as many palettes as I have, again, it just floats to the, well, I guess sinks to the bottom, and I know I'm not gonna reach for it again because I just didn't love it. I have these shades in other palettes. They perform much better. They have much more impact on the eyes. I'm gonna let go with this one because I'm never gonna use it again. I can tell you that right now. Then I have 2 from ColourPop. So one is The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm actually gonna give this one to my daughter because I know she'll love that one. It's a pretty color story, but it's just not a color story that I ever really gravitate towards. It's the kind of palette that I could see myself using if I just wanted to play and create some like Instagram pictures. And I have, again, so many palettes that I really don't need it tying up space. I would probably only use it a couple of times, whereas my daughter is going to use it a lot more than me because she loves to just play with the bright colors. I don't know that she'll get a ton of use out of like the really dark black or anything like that, but this over in here, I think her creativity will be piqued by that one. And then the other ColourPop is just a little quad here. This one is called She's a Natural. As you can see, it's just an all matte, very neutral quad. It is pretty and it does apply really nicely to the eyes, but I just wish there was a bit more differentiation between these two. Like I wish this was a little bit more of a true cream because they basically translate the exact same on the eyes. And again, I have so many neutral palettes. It really does beg the question, why would I even buy another one? But we're not here to answer the really tough questions today. We're just here to take a look at the stuff that I'm getting rid of. Agreed? Okay. Besides, rather than this one, I've got this one here from Makeup by Mario. This one is Nude 2. Same kind of idea, except whereas this is all mattes, this one does have 2 shimmery shadows in it. Right here, one of them in particular is just so beautiful. It's basically like a shadow topper, but if I'm just going for like a really easy, neutral, daytime look, this just adds a little bit of sparkle to the eye. You can also use it on top of other shadows, but I just think it's so pretty and it's unlike a lot of the shadows that I have. So this one does bring something different to the table. I would rather keep this one over the ColourPop, so that's what I'm gonna do. That then brings us to the last 2 palettes. Both of them are from Lethal Cosmetics, and both of them it just comes down to the color story. So on the one hand we have Berlin 89, and on the other is Lethal is Dead, which was the collaboration with Teresa is Dead. So I feel really badly about that because I don't like to declutter like collab items because I just feel bad doing it. But at the same time, I don't get use out of this palette. So I'd rather pass it on to somebody who will get use out of it rather than have it continue to sit on my shelf and just take up space. while I think individually the colors are really pretty, as a palette, I just have a hard time creating looks with this. And so this is just one of those palettes that I bring out fully meaning to use it, and then I sit and stare at it and I don't end up actually creating anything with it, and I put it back on the shelf. So it's really just a creative issue on my end rather than on Teresa's end, certainly. I think it's really pretty, it just isn't in my wheelhouse. So that's why I'm going to pass it on to somebody else who will get use out of it. And likewise, the Color Story of Berlin 89, just, I don't know what to do with this. And I knew that when I saw the pictures of it, and yet I bought it anyways because FOMO is a real thing. And here it is in a declutter video. So who's the fool? And I haven't worn it on my eyes, so who's the even bigger fool? There is a multi-chrome shade in here, which I think is really gorgeous, but it's not enough to keep the entire palette for, and I don't want to dig it out because when I depot things, I never use them, so what's the point? I'd rather just pass this on to somebody because there is obviously very, very little wear out of this. I did go ahead and swatch it, but I don't think I've actually applied it to my eyes. If I have, I don't remember doing so, so that tells you something as well. I still am very curious about Lethal Cosmetics, but I picked two palettes that just didn't work with my own creative abilities, and that's on me, not on them. So there we have it, guys. Those are the items that I'm going to be saying goodbye to. With that said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I ask that you consider doing so. Other than that, I will see you in my next video, and until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now. You know what? Postscript. I alluded to having feelings about Juvia's Place and I didn't really expand on that, and I feel like I probably should have. They posted a very problematic reel to their Instagram page. It included an anti-Asian slur. So it's problematic on a couple of fronts. One, the creator who just used that slur very casually, just sort of dropped it into the middle of her eye makeup look. That speaks volumes. But then the fact that Juvia's Place would have vetted that, thought that it was okay, and put it up on their feed, that is a little questionable. And then for me, I'm okay with people making mistakes. Like, I'm human, I make mistakes, we all do. But it's how you account for those mistakes after the fact when they're brought to your attention. Do you do a genuine apology, or do you try to shift blame and basically not really address it? And that is what both of these players in this situation did, and it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. So while I'm not trying to cancel anybody or anything of that sort, and I'm not saying I'm never going to buy from Juvia's Place again, for right now I'm okay with taking some of their items out of my collection, particularly items that I'm just not using in any event. So I just wanted to add that in here for a little bit more context. Okay, bye.